Welcome to That's Good Broncos, Falcons versus Broncos prediction episode. I hope you know how these work by now. And real quick, I just joined Patreon because many of you have asked, how can you help me out? Well, Patreon is the answer. There's a link in the description. You can go there and you can donate to this channel to help me keep doing this and this only. Patreon basically takes a monthly donation from your pocket and puts it in my pocket. And when both of our pockets are touched, everyone feels good. Now, people are already donating, which is fucking awesome. And Kyle, you're a bitch. He requested that I say that for his reward and his donation. So check it out if you want. If you don't, I don't care. No pressure. Falcons versus Broncos. That's good, Broncos. 1998. To understand this game, we have to remember 1998, a year in which the two best teams in the NFC were the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons, led by Jamal Anderson and the Dirty Birds. The Denver Broncos had just won the Super Bowl and started that season 13-0. This year, we could very well see a Falcons-Vikings NFC Championship game with the Broncos making a Super Bowl push. The similarities are eerie. The game is in Denver, so half point for the Broncos. Gary Kubiak versus Dan Harlequin. Gary Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for the Broncos in 1998. Mike Shanahan was, of course, the head coach. Now check this shit out. In 1998, former Broncos head coach Dan Reeves was the head coach of the Falcons. That's a Dan connection and a former Broncos coach connection, because this year, son of Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, is the offensive coordinator for Atlanta. So like 1998, there are some interesting links between the coaching staffs of these two successful teams. Dan Quinn got the job in Atlanta because of his success as defensive coordinator in Seattle. At the time, I wanted Quinn to interview for the Broncos head coaching position. Instead, and rightfully so, the job went to Gary Kubiak. The interesting thing is, Kubiak is an offensive guy. Quinn is a defensive guy, yet their teams bear the opposite identity of their strengths. Maybe that's the key. If your head coach's strength benefits your team's weakness, he can effectively raise the level of play in that area and make better overall team decisions. I should be a GM. Both coaches are undefeated this season. Both coaching staffs are strong, and knowing Kubiak and Shanahan have very similar philosophies in how they run NFL offenses, I have to call this position group a tie. A freaking tie. Although I should give Coobs a point for how clean his shoes is. Fuck, those are nice. Matt Ryan in receivers versus Broncos Secondary. There's no getting around the fact that the Falcons offense is hot right now. They're averaging 478.8 yards per game. Matt Ryan has almost eclipsed 1,500 passing yards this season. He's throwing for 354.3 yards per game, and the rushing attack is at 124 yards per game. More important than all those stats is they are scoring 38 points a game. That's miles ahead of Philadelphia and San Diego, who are second and third with about 30 points a game. We know Falcons receiver Julio Jones is a beast, and you have to be dead to not know he had 12 catches for 300 yards against the Panthers last week. Matty Ice threw for over 500 yards in that game with 4 touchdowns to solidify the fact that the Panthers aren't very good anymore. Mohamed Sanu had a strong Week 1 performance with 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, but has been quiet since then. That leaves Justin Hardy as the other receiver and our friend Jacob Tamme at tight end. Not to mention the ongoing distraction of sharing the same last name with Greg and Tom. Justin, Greg, and Tom. 2 of those guys aren't pieces of shit. This is the biggest matchup of the week anywhere in the NFL. Denver's secondary has been dominant through 4 games. Aqib Talib has 3 picks on the season, 1 return for a touchdown, and is in the run for Defensive Player of the Year through 4 games. In a lot of people's opinions. The no-fly zone with Harris, Roby, Ward, and Stewart, in addition to Talib, is allowing 169.5 passing yards per game. That's less than half of what Matt Ryan is throwing every week. This secondary has only given up 2 touchdowns through 4 games and has held opposing quarterbacks to a league-best 55.4 completion percentage. A lot of the success in the secondary will depend on the Broncos' pass rush, because if they can get Matt Ryan outside of the pocket and uncomfortable, he might not play as well. I'm giving the Broncos a small 0.25 advantage here for two reasons. One, TJ Ward said they weren't impressed with the Falcons receivers and that the Panthers just fucked up a lot in their assignments last week. Two, I believe the last time Aqib Talib faced Julio Jones, he pretty much shut him down. Don't let me down, no fly zone. Plus, I added Talib shirts to the That's Good Broncos store. Link below. Falcons running backs and O-line versus Broncos front seven. The Falcons' offense is good in all phases. They have the 6th best rushing attack in the NFL and 5 rushing touchdowns. We know Devonta, Freeman, and Tevin Coleman are very good in the backfield. Freeman is averaging 5.9 yards per carry, which is insane. And Tevin Coleman is very dangerous as a receiving back. Although Carolina held him in check last week. The X factor here is TJ Ward's little brother.
What's up, man? Terron Ward, TJ's younger brother, Atlanta Falcons running back.
He hasn't had any carries this season, but if I'm the Falcons, I feed him the rock because there's no way TJ wants to hurt his little brother. A big reason for any offensive success can usually be attributed to solid play on the O-line, and the Falcons line is very good. It doesn't hurt that Matty Ice gets rid of the ball faster than most quarterbacks in the league. The only quarterback to get football out of his life quicker is Johnny Manziel. The Falcons' smartest offseason move was signing Brown center Alex Mack. He's great, but he will never compare to my childhood crush, Alex Mack. From the secret world of Alex Mack. Who would have thought Alex Mack's weird-looking friend would turn out to be Jessica Alba? Speaking of beautiful people, left tackle Ryan Schrader is playing really well in both pass and run protection, and this line will be the best the Broncos front seven has faced this season. As good as Atlanta is up front, I have to believe Von Miller, Derek Wolfe, Shane Ray, Brandon Marshall, Sly Williams, Jared Crick, and Todd Davis are up for the challenge. Last week, these guys finally shut down the run, giving up only 72 yards to Tampa Bay. Their biggest struggle, if any, was tackling Jameis Winston. And I expect them to take down Matt Ryan with greater ease if they get to him. Shaquille Barrett had one hell of a game against Tampa Bay, and he's my sleeper pick to have a big impact on this game. I'll also be watching Derek Wolfe closely in this game. Von Miller has a challenge going against Schrader, which leaves Wolfe and veteran Chris Chester to battle. I think Wolfe can exploit that matchup, and that might be the difference in the game. Might not either. This really is too close to call, but I will give Atlanta a 0.25 advantage, because Denver hasn't faced an O-line of this caliber yet this season. And because I haven't given Atlanta any points. Broncos running backs and O-line versus Falcons front seven. Donald Stevenson returned to practice this week, and he'll provide an upgrade for the Broncos in the run game, as will having Virgil Green back. I think the Broncos' struggles in the rushing game can be directly related to those two players missing time, but we're not even sure if they will play this weekend. The Falcons' defense is not great. They're giving up 31 points per game. CJ Anderson and Devonta Booker have to be successful grounding and pounding. The Broncos' best defense, besides their actual defense, is eating up clock. Falcons linebacker Leroy Reynolds looks like he'll kill you, eat your body, and then tell his friends how delicious it was. I would not fuck with that guy. If you thought Dwight Freeney retired, you're wrong. He's a third down specialist for the Falcons, and he and tackle Jonathan Babineau enjoy senior citizen discounts every Friday at the Golden Corral. Cause they're old. The Falcons' D-line is not pulverizing anyone, even with guys like Vic Beasley and Derek Shelby, who have had very good seasons in the NFL. The linebacking core has struggled against the run, but played pretty well in passing situations. The Broncos have to run well in this game to control it, but if Virgil Green and Donald Stevenson are listed as questionable, I don't know who's going to win this matchup, so no points awarded here. Broncos quarterback and receivers versus Atlanta secondary. Atlanta has a safety named Keanu Neal. He's very good against the run, but Keanu Neal is no Keanu playing Neo in The Matrix. He's definitely not Keanu from Point Break or John Wick. Maybe he's Keanu from The Lake House. Atlanta secondary is not good. They have given up 13 passing touchdowns, which is more than any other team in the NFL. They're allowing opposing quarterbacks to complete close to 70% of their passes. I think Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders will have favorable matchups against corners Desmond Trufant and Robert Alford. I believe Trevor Siemian will play. That's what my gut says.
Yes, he's listed as questionable. Yes, he will probably be a game time decision. But this picture from Emmanuel Sanders' Snapchat says it all. Trevor's fucking cool. If that guy can't win and destroy the Falcons, nobody can. Just look at him, getting that treatment on the shoulder. Trevor, you're a quarterback, no matter what anyone says.
And I think he's the better quarterback against this defense. Again, we want to see the Broncos make long, methodical drives that eat up the clock. That's what Siemian is great at doing. His health is a concern, but he's young and tough, and he can play through pain without losing 50% of his passing ability like we saw with Manning last season. If Lynch does play, this game may be a bit more exciting. He'll take shots down the field, he'll run when under pressure, and he's best when under pressure. No matter who starts, I'm giving 0.25 points to the Broncos. Special teams versus special teams. Check this stat. Riley fucking Dixon leads the NFL with his 51.8 yards per punt average. That's 0.2 yards better than Pat McAfee and 1.1 yards better than Atlanta's punter Matt Bosher. Are you kidding me? 2 of the 3 best punters in the NFL are literally going toe-to-toe this weekend. That's the real battle to watch. Both teams have been dismal in the return department. In fact, they are equally boring as the 25th and 26th best return teams in the NFL. Matt Bryant and Brandon McManus have had similar seasons, each missing 1 field goal and not having a lot of opportunity for field goal attempts, and both of their misses coming on kicks over 50 yards. I'm gonna give Riley Dixon the respect he deserves and award the Broncos a .01 advantage. The tiniest advantage I've ever given. Yeah, so the Broncos have the point advantage. But there's no disrespect to the Falcons here. Their offense could scorch the Broncos. They have that ability. But we've seen this defense take down elite offense and elite quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and I'm not intimidated by Atlanta's stats. They haven't played a defense this good this season. And we know this defense is good. I also believe the Broncos are a more balanced team. The Denver offense is playing pretty well, and they're scoring points. But Atlanta has a real problem with their defense. Fortunately, their offense has been able to compensate for it. If Atlanta were playing better on that side of the ball, I would look at this game a bit differently. If the Broncos are as good as we believe they are, they have to win this game, as it may be their toughest opponent until they play the Patriots towards the end of the season. Broncos get a win here, 31-24. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Make sure you subscribe here. Follow me on Twitter @BrandonPerna. And for all of your Denver sports news needs, you gotta go to bsndenver.com. Rockies, Nuggets, Avalanche, CU, CSU, all of them. Gosh dang it. Thank you so much. Mile High Report, the Broncos blog of all Broncos blog, for supporting me. Support them. Show the love. Spread the love. Yeah. If you want to make the world a better place, you gotta take a look at yourself and make that change.